let's jump right in. Welcome to the Explainer. Look, today we are breaking down the absolute nuts and bolts of a truly life-changing financial threshold. If you've ever felt like building wealth is this impossible Everest-sized climb, or if you're working incredibly hard but somehow still feel like you're just spinning your wheels financially, well, you are in exactly the right place. We're going to look closely at the data and the psychology behind what it actually takes to accelerate your wealth. Think about what pops into your head when you picture building wealth. If you're like most people, you probably think of these astronomical numbers, right? I mean, the standard advice from most financial gurus out there is that you need £1 million to finally feel wealthy, or that a six-figure salary is the only magic ticket to financial freedom. But we are going to completely debunk that myth today. You absolutely do not need £1 million to fundamentally change your life. There is a much smaller, kind of secret magic number that completely transforms your relationship with money. And that number? It's just £20,000. Section 1. The £20,000 tipping point. Okay, so conventional wisdom often gets this totally wrong, but there are certain financial thresholds that act like invisible barriers. Basically, these barriers separate the folks who go on to build significant generation-spanning wealth from those who stay stuck living paycheck to paycheck for decades. And that first major threshold, it's £20,000. If you've ever tried to push a massive heavy boulder up a steep hill, you know that getting it started is just brutal. You are straining, you're sweating, and honestly, questioning if you're even making a dent. Saving your first $20,000 feels exactly like that. You are pushing uphill against gravity. But hitting that mark, that is the turning point where your financial boulder finally crests the hill. Everything after this point, momentum totally takes over, and suddenly, gravity is actually working for you. Section 2. Escaping financial survival mode. To really understand why this specific mark is so powerful, we kind of have to look at what's happening inside your head. Before you reach this tipping point, you are operating in what psychologists call survival mode. When you have zero financial buffer, your brain is entirely consumed by immediate threats. It is literally like trying to calmly plan a future vacation while your house is actively on fire. Just impossible, right? But the moment you start building a buffer, things completely change. Research from Vanguard actually shows that having just £2,000 in emergency savings increases your overall financial well-being by a staggering 21%. Think about that. That $2,000 is less than a fancy vacation or a high-end laptop, but it is enough to pull you slightly out of that state of pure panic and survival. And when you don't have that safety net, you see the whole world through the lens of fear and scarcity. Operating in survival mode means you might jump at the very first job offer that comes along, even if the pay is absolutely terrible, simply because, well, you can't afford to be picky. You might say yes to miserable side hustles you literally hate, or stay in toxic situations just to survive the month. Your brain physically does not have the bandwidth to look for growth. It's really just trying not to drown. So here is the crucial point. When you push that emergency fund to around 3 to 6 months of living expenses, which for most people lands right around £20,000, you get another 13% boost in well-being. But more importantly, you create real breathing room. Your brain finally shifts gears. Instead of constantly agonizing over, how do I survive until payday? You suddenly have the mental bandwidth to start asking, wait, how can I grow this money? You completely transition from wealth preservation into actual real wealth building. Section 3. The math of wealth momentum. Okay, once that psychological shift happens, the pure mathematics take over, and it's a beautiful thing. The £20,000 mark isn't just a mental milestone, it is the ultimate mathematical catalyst for exponential financial growth. Let's say you're saving £1,000 every month and earning an 8% return. Getting to your first £20,000 takes about 19 months of really hard, disciplined saving. But your second $20,000? That only takes 17 months. You did the exact same amount of work, but you shaved 2 full months off your timeline just because that first chunk of money is now generating its own returns. And fast forward to when you have $400,000 in your portfolio. Your next $20,000 takes just 5 months to generate. No way, right? But it's true. Your money is literally doing the heavy lifting for you. The secret here isn't some exclusive, top-secret hedge fund for the ultra-rich. It's just scale. When you start out, a 10% return on £1,000 makes you £100. I mean, it's nice, but you barely notice it. Take that exact same 10% return, apply it to a £20,000 balance, and suddenly you're making £2,000 in pure profit. The percentage is identical, the risk is identical, but the sheer scale transforms that return from pocket change into a life-changing amount of momentum. To really put that into perspective, 20,000 pounds invested at a standard 8% return generates 1,600 pounds a year while you sleep. You didn't clock into a job for that money. You didn't trade a single hour of your time for it. The investment strategy is the exact same index funds someone with 1,000 pounds might use. But scaled up, your money officially starts acting like a second, totally tireless employee working entirely on your behalf. Section 4. Your career's secret superpower. The crazy thing is, the benefits of this milestone aren't just limited to your investment accounts. Having 20,000 pounds fundamentally changes your relationship with your day job. It creates immense leverage. When you're living paycheck to paycheck, you're trapped. You're constantly afraid of getting fired, so you never ask for a raise. You just accept unreasonable demands from your boss because you desperately need the money. But when you hit that milestone, you have what we call walking away money. It's a total game changer. Suddenly, you transform into a confident negotiator. You ask for the raise because, honestly, the worst they can say is no, and you'll be totally fine regardless. You push back. You explore better opportunities. And ironically, that very confidence usually leads to better assignments, way more recognition, and much higher pay. Outside of your 9 to 5, your entire perspective on opportunity completely shifts. Previously, a dying laptop was a full-blown financial emergency that ruined your entire month. With a solid safety net, it's just a minor inconvenience. But more importantly, you can finally unlock real opportunities. If a buddy is starting a business, you can actually consider investing 5,000 pounds. You can run the numbers on a rental property or even self-fund a trip to a conference that could totally level up your career. It's so true that money goes to money because having it simply gives you the options to seize those lucrative moments. Section 5. Wealth-destroying expenses exposed. Now, we need to talk about a very dangerous trap that catches a lot of folks right as they hit this milestone. To truly accelerate your wealth, you have to completely reframe how you look at expenses. Think of this as a quick tutorial on how wealthy people view their spending. Step 1. Stop agonizing over micro decisions. I mean it. The difference between a 3-pound coffee and making it at home is not going to make or break your financial future. Step 2. Evaluate the opportunity cost of large purchases. And step 3. Ruthlessly optimize your big expenses, like housing and transportation. Doing this frees up your mental bandwidth to make strategic choices that actually move the needle on your net worth, rather than, stressing out over the price of organic bananas at the grocery store. And speaking of big expenses, let's talk about the absolute biggest wealth destroyer of all. The average person drops 600 to 800 pounds a month on transportation. We're talking car payments, insurance, gas, maintenance, the whole shebang. Over a 40-year period, that easily vaporizes 400,000 pounds just to get from point A to point B. Meanwhile, these same people claim they simply cannot afford to save for retirement. Which brings us right into the danger zone. I see this happen constantly. People hit that 20,000 pound mark, they feel that incredible psychological relief we just talked about, and then they immediately blow it on a shiny new sports car or some massive lavish vacation as a reward for their hard work. Listen to me carefully here. That money is not a reward for good behavior. It is the foundational seed of your generational wealth. If you spend it, you are literally pushing that boulder right back to the bottom of the hill. The stark reality here comes down to opportunity cost. Look, a car is an emotional purchase, absolutely. But when you buy a 30,000 pound car, it loses 20% of its value the absolute second you drive it off the lot. That is actively destroying your wealth. Compare that to investing that exact same 30,000. Over 20 years, that investment could grow to over 200,000 pounds. So that shiny new car isn't just costing you 30 grand, it's costing you the 200 grand you could have had. Once you realize that, suddenly, driving a reliable, slightly older car doesn't feel like a sacrifice at all. It feels like you're funding your future freedom. Adopting this mindset does not make you some penny pincher who never enjoys life. Not at all. It makes you an intentional architect of your own money. When you have a solid financial foundation and truly understand the incredible power of compound interest, it becomes so much easier to distinguish between the temporary rush of what you want right now and the lasting, genuine freedom of what you really want for your future. Reaching that 20,000 pound mark is the critical difference between just surviving your financial life and actually thriving in it. It takes discipline, for sure, and it takes time to push that boulder to the top of the hill. But once you do, gravity takes over. So I'll leave you with this question. Are you going to keep reacting to your financial life, or are you ready to start designing it? Start building that foundation today. Your future self is absolutely counting on it. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and I'll catch you next time.